Hello! NaNoWriMo month, and I thought that, to put off writing some more, I would make a video about it to make it look like I was doing something productive. Anyway, let's start by talking about how I approach starting a novel. Usually, it comes with some sort of random idea, some sort of light bulb. Oh! So, after I have that idea, I give myself a while to brainstorm it. I don't like to just completely start writing unless I have a specific scene in my head, which I usually don't. So I give myself however long it takes, sometimes a couple weeks, a couple days, a couple months to brainstorm a story, and then I plot it. And I know lots of people don't like plotting because they feel it hurts their creativity, or they have to stick to the plot that they create, which is not true at all. You can plot a book and you can still change your mind about it. You can still do something different. You can go a different way with it, not a big deal. But what I do is I took a class by Alexandra Sokoloff, who's an amazing horror writer. Besides the horror, because that word could be sounding like another word. Anyway, I do this 3-act plot structure. And basically what it is screenwriters use it. You could basically plot any movie and it'll fit into this 3-act plot structure. So you have, I'm pretty sure these things will end up backwards, but we'll see. So you have 3 acts, and the middle act is really 2 acts. So you really have 4 acts, but you still call it 3 acts. Don't ask me why. So you have Act 1, Act 2, Part 1, Act 2, Part 2, Act 3. And then each of those acts are split into sequences, 2 sequences to be exact. So you have 8 sequences. So there's sequence 1, sequence 2, that's Act 1. Sequence 3, sequence 4, sequence 5, sequence 6, sequence 7, sequence 8. Sequence no longer has meaning to me. The word sequence has no meaning. So you have 8 sequences in all. And basically this just makes the plot more manageable. I think it's easier to follow along and to feel like you've accomplished something. Like you can say, I have written all of sequence 1 of my novel, when really that's only like 50 pages. But it sounds like you've, done something, so that's good. And then you have climaxes at the end of each act, because you want to keep your readers interested. You don't want only one climax. Like the plot structure you learn about in whatever grade it is. I'm an English teacher. I should know this, but I don't. With the little, introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, denouement, whatever, resolution. I don't really like that because that makes it look like, oh, we're leading up to this one main event and oh my gosh, it's so huge and okay, that was interesting. But really, your story should not be like, it should be like, ba-bow, 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 ba-bow. Like all kinds of things are happening. You have all these climaxes. And depending on what kind of story you have, like romance, your climaxes could be actual climaxes, or kiss scenes, or love scenes, or, a brush of the hand if you're kind of doing softer romance. And horror could be, you know, you find a clue, or you introduce the red herring, or someone else dies, or, you know, fantasy can be all kinds of shit, really, you know. But every single genre has different types of climaxes, but the point is you want to keep your readers interested. So each sequence has a small climax and each act has a fairly large climax. This is backwards, isn't it? You guys are writers. You know how to read backwards. I can read upside down. You can read backwards. First act, sequence 1, sequence 2, and then we have act 1 climax. Really, this whole act is, at least sequence 1 is introducing the characters, laying out the scene, introducing the world if you're a world builder and you have a new world, dystopian, fantasy, science fiction, whatever. This is introducing all of that in your typical old style English 1 plot. That would be the introduction. Whatever, don't listen to that. So the act 1 climax is usually where the journey starts. You know, we've learned about the characters, we've introduced them, we know about that stuff. Now, the end of act 1, we have journeyed into the meat of the story, basically. And the whole middle part is the journey within the world, the journey within the relationship, all that fun stuff. So you have preparing for battle, you have all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And then, I mean, that's all act 2, all of it. Fun stuff going on there. And then at the end of act 2, part 2, you have the all is lost moment. All is lost. Over here, nothing can happen that is worse than that point. It's all dark, stormy, lovers are fighting, they're separated, they're locked in a tower at the top of a building. There's a dragon guarding it. Crap, my blood sugar's low. I need to eat something. Maybe that's why this video is so rambly. Halloween candy is really good for low blood sugar. So then, get out of that, and then there's fight over here. Act 3, sequence 7. All of the fighting happens. It's terrible. And that could be, depending on the genre, lovers battle it out, quarreling, fighting over whatever. Fantasy is usually an actual battle. I can tell you, as a fantasy writer, there's always a battle right here. Always. For me. And then in the last sequence, there's usually a new way of life. You are explaining what has happened after the battle. Unless you're writing in a trilogy, like I did. So I don't usually have much of a sequence 8 other than it's like a false sense of new way of life. It's a false sense of security, basically. Like, oh, look, things are going to be better now. The battle's over. We're all good. And oh my gosh, this horrible thing has happened. Kind of like in Hunger Games. So, Hunger Games, you have, especially the second one. Let's do Catching Fire. You know, they get out of the arena. Yay, everything's okay. Katniss is alive. Spoiler alert, I should say. Spoiler alert. And if you haven't read Catching Fire yet, where have you been? Seriously. Anyway, so Catching Fire, you have her out of the arena. She's in the hover thing. And you're like, oh, great, that's good. But then it's like, dun, dun, dun! District 12 is gone. what? And then you have to wait a long time for the next book, but you freaking buy it because you want to know what the heck happened to District 12. Because it's not there anymore. Where is it? I don't know. Where is it? I didn't even finish writing my sequences. What's wrong? What's wrong with me? All of that mumbling I just said, that is how I plot. Now, these are just the main points, okay? These are just things that you have to hit. You don't have to hit them even. But it's just sort of like a guideline. So you're like, I know, I want them to kiss in sequence 5. But then they're going to find out this in sequence 6, you know, whatever. But the way you get there, that's the fun part. That's the writing. That's the creativity. But you have to have a roadmap. Or else you could go off into this crazy land that doesn't even, makes no sense. What are you doing over there? I don't know. I didn't have a plot. You don't have to have a plot. But I'll tell you what's easier. Especially for NaNoWriMo. Until next time, enjoy your writing, people. Taylor Swift. This is perfect writing music, by the way. I am Taylor Swift and I have awesome music. Flashing lights and we turn and we fell down.